I'm going to go over a couple odds and ends. My headlamp, I used a Petzl, and really important to have a headlamp that is water resistant. It is filthy. Maybe I can wash it. I think you could take the band off and wash it. It's adjustable. Oh, that way. So you've got your different levels of bright, and you also have your red. Important to have red, and I never realized how important red was until one night when somebody was coming into camp and their headlight was just flashing all across the tents, and it woke me up. And so I understand that, you know, I didn't mind me. I didn't mind, but other people might mind that. So the red works because what happens is when people's eyes are closed, you're looking through your eyelids, and so the natural that you see is kind of red because you look through your eyelids. So that's why the red works. That's what I understand. So you want to make sure you have a good headlamp. And I also carried extra batteries. I didn't carry the rechargeable. I just carried, this one takes AAA's. You can get them that are actually rechargeable. I did use my headlamp a couple times at night. And of course, going into Cajon Pass, it was really cool because I'm going across a dirt road. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Probably once a year a car might go down this road. It's a power line road. But I still, when I come to the edge of the road, I am so ingrained to look both ways. So I looked this way, and guess what was there? A mountain lion. And his eyes shone in the light, you know. And he looked at me, I looked at him. He was a little bit ways down the road. And then I just watched him run across the road. And then he stopped again. You know how cats will stop and look, you know. And then he went on, you know. But after that, I was singing a lot, talking a lot, because I didn't want to scare up anybody, to startle any other, you know, his buddy or anybody like that. So that's the headlamp. These are the REI Traverse poles. They are the telescoping poles. One thing I learned when I was early on, this was one of the very first things I purchased, was my poles. And I learned that I wanted to get cork handles, and I learned that I wanted to get telescoping, meaning that they go in and out of each other so they can pack up small, as opposed to plastic handles and ones that you see fold up, like those folding canes and stuff like that. But these just seem to be stronger. And I'm just amazed because so many people I see, they have to get new tips. I've only gone 700 miles yet so far, but I've used these poles an additional year and a half, you know, going on roads and rocks and everything else. And can you see the tips are still very strong? I mean, I see people with their tips just ground down to nothing. I don't know what they're doing. But, and then the other thing that I didn't need that I got a hair here, is that you can get the plastic tips. You got the plastic tips. I have them in a different bag here that was going with me on the Sierra section that go over it, so when you're going over rocks, and then also the baskets, because you want the baskets for when you're going, what is that? Something's bothering me. The baskets for when you're going into the snow, but you don't want to use your baskets when you're crossing the rivers because they will catch in the rocks and then make you trip and fall. So the other thing on the poles, which is I used a lot, was duct tape. The poles were vehicles for duct tape, which came in handy many times, including when I sprained my foot and I had to cut apart my butt pad to make a splint for my foot, and then I wrapped it with my duct tape. Some people cut off, you know, in an effort to get lighter, they cut off the handles, but I'm telling you, there was some times where you would be in an area where if you didn't have a good hold of your poles, or you didn't have your handle on, like sometimes they would catch on something, and if the handle wasn't there, they would have fallen and gone down the side of the mountain, and then you would be without poles. So I always made sure I had my handles on. There were several times I'm going, oh my God, thank goodness I had my handles on. And I always have my handles on when I'm hiking. All right. That's it for the poles. I wanted to mention about the trekking poles is that one thing that I didn't really think it was that much of a big deal. And maybe it isn't, but because my poles are not considered ultralight or anything like that, that you can get, there's a lot of companies who make extremely light carbon poles. And I really didn't think about it until when you're thinking about weight, you got to think about everything that's on you, in your pack, so wearable, and anything that you are controlling. When I was trekking, I thought, you know what? And I kind of liked it. You're burning more calories if you want to burn more calories. But every time you move that pole forward, that is causing energy to be used. And the heavier the pole, the more energy you use. So if you want to use less energy, obviously, you know, hiking 2,600 miles, then you might want to consider going to a lighter pole. But anyway, that's something to consider when you're thinking A or B, when you're thinking about getting poles. It's just something that I would have never really understood until I was on the trail, just like a lot of this stuff. And I'm kind of glad I waited to do my gear video after being on the trail, because then I can see what worked for me, what didn't, and obviously just what works for me may not work for you, and all the different reasons. You know, there's 1,000 different companies out there offering backpacking equipment for people, but this is what I ended up with and what I want to get. So what's next? Oh, by the way, here's these little packs of hot hands. They're very heavy kind of, but I would always have at least one pack with me just in case of emergency. And there's actually 2 parts to them. The things that's really important on the trail is any medications that you have. And I always just kept mine in a bag and wrapped in this, so I knew exactly, I could see it in my pack. And in here, I would have all my backup medications that I would fill my dailies with. And it's just here in a plastic bag. You know, if you have any kind of blood pressure medicines, I've got magnesium, potassium. I have the baby aspirin because right around my 50th birthday, I had a heart attack. So it's nothing that I have to take daily medicine for. But ever since then, I always make sure I have baby aspirin. Once in a while, I'll get some angina, but it's not anything that's been too much to address. But I always carry baby aspirin just in case, because you take that and it just kind of calms things down. And then I've got the magnesium and potassium and what else? Something else here, but I don't think I'm going to take that. The other thing I have is, because those are alternate, once they did my blood work after I was off the trail without taking some of this stuff, everything was just fine. So the other thing that I have to take daily is evening primrose oil. And it was just the weirdest thing. I started really having a lot of pain in my breasts, and we were going to all different hospitals and doctors, and they couldn't figure out what was going on because we thought I had breast cancer. And so I finally ended up down in Palm Springs at a very specialized institute for breast cancer, and they discovered that I have this, and I can't even think of the name of it. There's some disease. It's not anything that's progressive, but I've had it for years and years, but it causes a lot of pain. But the solution is taking evening primrose oil. I mean, here we've been to specialists all over California. I end up at this, at this hospital down in Palm Springs, and what's the solution? Here, take evening primrose oil every day. So that's part of my medicine on the trail, because if I don't take it, then I get really severe, horrible pains. So learn something new. And thank God it wasn't cancer, and my heart goes out to those who do end up with it. But anyway, so my orange thing, every night when I unpack, I get all my, my daily, I keep pointing here because that's where I've got my little medicine thing, but I get my daily thing, then I take my night medicines, and I get everything ready for the morning, and then we're good. Let's see. Let's talk fanny packs. One of the things I decided that I wanted to do was have a fanny pack so that I could have like the things, snacks and stuff that I needed during the day, because I didn't want to, in case I didn't want to have to take my pack off, So I started out with this. It only weighs 3.5 ounces, amazingly. It's got 3, and I got it at REI. It's got 3 compartments in the back, middle, and front. And what I found, I ended up changing out. Now, I used this the whole time I was on the trail. Prior to going, I had ordered this, and this is from a company called Light AF, and it weighs about 1/2 ounce less than this. So when this, oh, Sadie's here. So when this came, I thought, oh my God, that's so tiny. It's so little. I don't think that'll work. So I ended up going and getting this. But I love the colors and everything. But I hadn't been on the trail yet. I hadn't become a minimalist yet. But in here, I like this because it actually fits. It easily fits. In here, I have my spork. This is my titanium spork made by Sea to Summit. And I got the long handled one because it reaches down into my bags. And I can stir with it. I can do everything with it. Initially, I'd gotten a shorter one, and I saw the error of my way right away because I basically cooked in the bags, and I just need to reach down into them. So my fork fits perfectly in here. And then in here, I would pack my day snacks. Like I would have for lunch, I would have, like a lot of times I would have tuna packs with some extra mayo to throw in there. Then also some crackers. Or, in the front, I would have my, whoops, your tail is knocking things down, Sadie. And also you put your granola bars or your power bars, your candy bars, your electrolytes, everything fits in there. And what I found, just like anything, like a purse, it had more room. I kept throwing stuff in there. And I think and it's got little pockets, it's got lots of areas to separate things out, which I like. So I might end up keeping this only because I know I can get everything fully in there. But what happened was I started throwing extra things in there that I probably didn't need, and it became heavier and heavier. But I think I'm going to switch back to this because everything fits nice. My spork fits in there, and I have my glasses in there. And let's see, what else do I have in here? I have my glasses. These are things I carried every day. I'm sorry, I had to have lipstick. I'm a girl. And then the mirror, Sharpie, because you never know when you need a Sharpie, especially when you're signing underpasses. I had Band-Aids. Oh, my Neosporin isn't in here, but I have Band-Aids and Neosporin in here. Then my pencil and gum and a fingernail file. And then here is the big jar that I kept my ibuprofen in because that's something that I needed to get to regularly every day. I'm sorry, I had to take lots of ibuprofen. I might die of liver failure at the end of the trail, but I didn't hurt. So that's what I carried. And then in my pack, plus my items of food. One or the other, haven't decided. I think I'm going to go back to the REI. Okay, here I come.
How funny. Mary, you're cracking me up. Okay, here she comes, coming around the bend. Watch out.